Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bears on Tap, a podcast about the Chicago Bears presented to you by On Tap Sportsnet. I'm your host, Brandon Suarez. You can follow me on Twitter at Bdon300, and today I'm joined by my co-host Quentin at BucketStats and Juice on the Loose, Mr. Juice on Tap. Like we promised last week, free agency has started. I know the boys joined you on Friday. I had a little bit of worky work. I was not able to get out of the function, but I know they were able to touch all the bases on trade. I'll give my thoughts on that, but the Bears have made signings, official signings, and Ryan Poles has been at Pro Days. It's been a busy week to be a Bears fan. A lot has happened so far. We've seen some of our former players go to other places. We've seen people not get extended, a la Sam Mustipher. Rest in peace, not dead, just gone. But, boys, free agency has begun. How are we doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. A little restless after the all the waiting. Just all the waiting, you know. Nothing's really, not a lot's happened since those first few hours, and just, patiently waiting on the edge of my seat.
Juice, how about you, my guy?
Doing good, man. Deep breath time, I think. This is kind of nice to have just at least a little bit of downtime. I know that today was a packed news day in terms of, the NFC North with Aaron Rodgers. We'll probably touch on that eventually in this show as well. But, yeah, man, I'm optimistic, not 100% sold, like we've all kind of, talked about over the course of the off-air stuff. But I like to listen and take stuff in. You guys are more in plug with the draft and free agency than I am. I'm just the fan who sits on this show. But yeah, man, I'm excited to jump in and talk some Bear football with you guys.
Oh, you got the numbers, you got the meatball, and you got the fans. So you got the best of all three worlds, and I'm sure we have all three listeners plus many more in the crowd. But, yeah, I mean, I'll start at the top real quick. I'll just get out of the way. DJ Moore, I like I'm torn on it because I feel like you could wait on the desperation on draft day. But like you guys said in the pre-show, and like I said a little bit in the pre-show, I think anytime that you can get proven productivity in the league, in a trade, that involves the number one pick instead of saying, hey, we're just going to go down to 9 and hope that whoever we get is a stud, I think is a good move. I'm a little weary as to where the Panthers pick will be next year, but who cares? Like, it's still probably going to be anywhere from like 10 to 20 at worst, like if the Panthers somehow win that division. But I think that the free agency moves, right? Like we talked a lot about in the offseason about the linebacker position. You had Tremaine Edmonds from the Buffalo Bills, and you had TJ Edwards from the Philadelphia Eagles. Both guys that have shown that they can play at a high level in the NFL. Jack Sanborn's teammate, not in high school, but in college at Wisconsin, was actually TJ Edwards. So there's a connection there. I don't know what these two signings mean for Jack Sanborn. I'll still be here thudding my chest 10 toes in the sand come week 1 for Jack Sanborn. But anytime you sign two guys like that for that type of money, you're presuming that they're probably going to be starting.
Yeah, I mean, the Edwards and Edmonds are going to be – that's your Mike and your Will. So Sanborn's just going to be – he's going to be the strong side linebacker, probably only play about 15 to 20% of the snaps, but be counted on to – stuff the run when he's in there and not as much coverage responsibility. But, I mean, he'll still have a role, but it won't be what he did last year, which, I mean, they're both upgrades. I'm a little perplexed by signing both those guys just because there wasn't a hole there, but they got good value on Edwards, like really good value on that contract. So I can't sit here and knock it either. It was a good signing. And even Edmonds, I mean, it's unless there's some fine print in the contract or in the details of it, that's a 2-year deal. They can get out of it 2 years if they need to. Now, I like Edmonds a lot. It was actually really close for me in that 2018 draft who I like more, Roquan or Edmonds. But he's a physical freak and he knows this defense. I mean, he spent his first 4 years in the NFL in Buffalo, where I don't know if this name's going to ring a bell for you guys, but where Bob Babich and Bob Babich Jr. were the linebacker coaches. He knows this defense. He knows the role. He is going to jump in here day one, hit the ground running because he knows what he's being asked to do because he's done it for 4 years in Buffalo. So I think that's it's a really good fit. I'm not sure positional value linebacker would have been the spot that I would have liked to see them attack. But at the end of the day, they got two good players, and I can't complain about that.
Juice for you?
Yeah, I think when you look at those two signings, you get two linebackers who can go sideline to sideline. And that's the greatest thing about those two guys is they're going to attack they're going to get to the point of the attack. They're going to make tackles. They're going to make plays. But I think too, like to build on, you know, what you were saying, Q, is if you look at the free agents market, there wasn't a lot in terms of the defensive line. And maybe Poles kind of went and saw some type of, you know, point in the market that he can attack, knowing that we're not going to be able to fix this thing all in one offseason, guys. Let's face it. There's going to be some holes on this defense. There's going to be some holes on this offense, you know, going into next year. We want all of it to be closed out. But maybe he looked at those two positions and said, I like those two guys. I think I can explore a market and I can get good value there. And maybe that's where the flip came in to this is the position I want to attack early because I know for a fact that it's going to be an astronomical amount of money to address that defensive line. And now they're just waiting on the offensive line in some ways. But, yeah, no, I like it. I like some of the moves so far. I will say this, though, and we talked about in the pre-show, the running back position scares me because now you've opened up the position in the draft or, you know, free agency, or maybe you need to use some of your trade assets that you have to fill that. And with how many positions need to be filled over the course of this offseason, the last thing you want to do is open up more of that. But it'll be interesting to see, you know, how they attack this in this. I'm calling this like the second run because that first one was that first wave. So the second wave, maybe the Bears have some more tricks up the sleeve.
Yeah, and I think the thing that will resonate with most Bears fans, is, at least if you look back at last year's tape and just the games from last season, is if you had to say, like, what was our worst position group out of all the position groups that we had on the field, and you take offensive line because that's the wiffle ball bad answer, it was the linebackers. The linebackers were fucking awful last year. Jack Sanborn was good. Roquan was good for like the 3 weeks that we had him, but they needed to facelift that position. And I think that, like both of you guys said, you get two quality players in there. There's never a bad time to sign good players. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter what the money's for. And that's one thing that was killing me about Bears Twitter when it first started is, you know, the way I look at it is the Chicago Bears are a mom and pop diner, and we are competing with McDonald's and Starbucks. We refuse to spend the money. We try to rub 2 pennies together to turn it into $1, and we've done it for 100 years. This is not the year to do that. That's why I am Ryan Poles' alarm clock. That's why I'm like tweeting at him every 2 minutes, like, hey, wake up. Hey, sign somebody. Hey, you have $150 million in the bank, and you can't take it with you. Just do something with it.
What's his Twitter account? Is that King Poles?
No, but that's another thing too. No, I don't even think he has a Twitter. I'm just tweeting into the abyss to my like 104 followers because I got a new Twitter account and I'm just not popping. But one thing that I will say that goes to show the level of delusion and just like insanity in the Bears fan base is the amount of like self-sucking that they're doing for this guy. They love this guy so much. They are ready to crown him. People call him grown men that punch a clock and eat 3-day-old spaghetti and wear a hard hat at work are calling this man King Poles. And I'm sorry, bro, but he has not done shit but give us the worst season that we've seen in recent Bears history. Now, I know it's very early and there is time for him to earn his crown. And when he wins that crown, I will call him King Poles. I'll be the first one to say it, but that time is not now. And the let him cook shit, stop that. Please stop. I don't want to be the old man yelling at the clouds, but like, it's not anyone in specific, but I log on to twitter.com every day to find out what Schefter and what Rappaport and what all these guys are tweeting. And it's just like, let him cook. King Poles. He's the best GM we've ever seen. The Chase Claypool tweet. I'm like, no, it's your own people that let you down in these trying situations. But like, if I had to grade him right now, he hasn't done terrible. He hasn't done the best, but he's made the Bears better. And that's what we're asking of him in this period. So I know me being the meatball, I'll always be a little bit more critical, but you know, he's gotten good players over the line and we still have enough money and there are still good players out there for him to continue that trend for the rest of free agency.
That's Bears fandom though, right? I mean, let's be honest here, man. Like the minute we get something new, we love it until we hate it and run it out of town. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt for the beginning here. I really am. I know he gave us a horrible season, but I'm hoping that was it. Now you're turning it around. You're hoping that these guys hit. But yeah, man, there's part of me that wants to believe you because I've watched this team my whole life.
Yeah.
And there's the other part that's like I said on this last show, I'm ready to be hurt again. Come and hurt me.
Get up for the letdown. Yeah, get up for the letdown.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. Like I know there's a lot of questionable decisions being made and run around, but we're not in those rooms either. That's it. We don't know what was offered for the number 1 pick. We don't know, what negotiations were made, which ones they missed out on. They could have been in on a lot of other guys that just signed other places that were willing to win more right away. But I don't know, man. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not like a full sign me up, King Poles, but I'll start calling him Prince Poles.
I was gonna say, what about like knight in armor Poles? Like you just got like the little sword over each shoulder, like we're trying to knight him, get him to be like knight Poles.
Like he's Heath Ledger in what's that movie, Knight's Tale? When he's he's running around there, he's damn good at his job or
he's earning a purple star 1 free agent signing at a time. But like let's slow the boat, boys.
So I mean, to me, the benefit of the doubt is once, right? You have it for 1 off season, and the benefit of the doubt happened last off season. Right. I mean, they did almost nothing in free agency last offseason. The whole offseason we were sitting there twiddling our thumbs waiting. And this offseason feels fairly similar already. When you really dive back into it, like I see this tweet that Zach Pearson sent out maybe an hour or 2 ago. And Ryan Poles' intro presser, quote, "What am I about and what's my philosophy? We're going to build through the draft. We're going to acquire young talent, fast and physical football players. We're going to be selective in free agency, and we're going to connect evaluation with valuation." I mean, he told us exactly what he's doing. I hate to say it. I hate to believe it almost. On one hand, I really like the fact that he wants to build his team this way. But on the other hand, there's a balance here that he's just not hitting of, you're a really bad team. If you want your 3rd-year quarterback who hasn't fully broken out yet to prove to you that he's the quarterback, you need to get him some offensive line help. You did a great job with the DJ Moore trade. I loved that trade. I think that gave you a lot of bonus points. But to flop this much in free agency on offense at this point hurts. It takes back a lot of that goodwill. And the benefit of the doubt's not there for me anymore after last offseason when all the stuff with Larry Ogunjobi and just the lack of really anything happening all offseason when you went into the season with no left guard or right guard, no right guard on the roster, a dispute with the guy you want to play right guard about whether he's even going to, and no right tackle on the roster till you sign Riley Reif halfway into camp. I'm scared of that happening again. I'm worried about right now. There is no right tackle on this roster unless you're starting Larry Borum there or pushing Tevin Jenkins back outside. You have 2 right guards. You have 2 centers because if you don't know what I mean by 2 right guards, Nate Davis has only played right guard in his entire collegiate and NFL career. He has never played on the left side. I'm not sure you're going to ask him to go play left guard now. Whitehair, there's speculation that he's going to be moved to center, and then Patrick's a swing interior offensive lineman, which I'm generally fine with. But then who's playing left guard? Who's playing right tackle? It's 2 big holes you have on your offensive line right now that are very, very concerning to me. And the D line is even more concerning because right now you have DeMarcus Walker and Justin Jones, and then Trevis Gibson and Dominique Robinson. That's all you have on your D-line right now that has really done anything in the NFL. And 3 of those guys are nice rotational pieces. They're not starters for your defense, though, for an average defense. I'm not even talking a 2018 Bears defense. So there's a lot of question marks I have right now. I can live with the defense not getting the help it needs. I can't live with the offense not getting the help it needs because if it doesn't, and Justin gets hurt or Justin doesn't show what he needs to show next year, that's a giant black eye on this organization, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we've talked about on the show this whole offseason with, how everyone has been just saying, like, trade Justin Fields, do this, do that. It's like, how can you say that when we truly haven't really seen what Justin Fields can do with everything in the right places? With an offensive line that can actually give him an ample enough time to throw, with receivers that catch passes and can make yards after the catch happens. We don't know. And, when it rains, it pours. You saw that last season. Justin Fields was out there, doing what he could do. There was a stretch in the season, remember, where we were scoring over 30 points a game. We lost all 5 of those games. Like, in the NFL, that's deplorable. That should not happen. And I think that in this era, to your point, Q, you can have a good defense and still give up 24 points a game, right? Comes down to turnovers, what you do in those make or break or those money plays during the game, like that's fine. But yeah, to only have Nate Davis and Travis Homer on offense as the signings, and you let Montgomery walk out the door at the running back position to go sign with the Detroit Lions, it really hasn't looked great on offense. You throw DJ Moore in there, it looks significantly better, for lack of better terms. But you build a house from the inside out. You build it from the foundation. You have to build it through the line and through the trenches. You can have all the flashy skill players. You can have the nice Ferrari. But have you ever seen the meme of that Ferrari or whatever nice car it is? It's in like the carport. It's like, if you don't have a garage for your Ferrari, why the fuck do you have a Ferrari? You know what I'm saying? That's where we're at right now with our offense.
Well, and I mean, the running back position, I fully expect them to fill that in the draft, and it's a great running back draft. Like, there are guys up and down the board who you would be thrilled to have. But I sit here and I look at, they have 5 draft picks in the top 103 because their 5th one is 103. That's why I'm not saying top 100. But so those top 100 picks, that's where you can, reasonably think I might be able to get a starter. Like, in the first round, you're saying I'm going to get a starter. Second round, you're probably taking like a 60-40 chance. Then after that, it's probably like 1-3, 1-4, something like that. So between those 5 picks, what can you expect? 3 starters, maybe? You're hoping?
Yeah.
Like at number 9, number 53, and maybe 1 out of the next 3 picks is a day 1 starter. Right now, you need left guard, right tackle, maybe center. You might want to be looking at a guy at center in that second round. Running back 2, interior D-line, edge,
tight end
edge,
2.
Nickel cornerback, tight end 2. That's 10 guys who you're talking about trying to get in the draft with only 5 picks that can reasonably give you what you need. It's just that there's a big gap here that we're talking about. And if that gap means that, all those first 5 picks are offense, again, I can live with that. As long as you're giving Justin what he needs for us to be able to evaluate, and for them to be able to evaluate him, even more importantly, for them to go into next year not saying, I don't know, we really like Justin, but we just don't know. And we can go get Drake May. We can go get Caleb Williams because we got 2 first-round picks. And I'm assuming if that's the case, the Bears' first-round pick is pretty high next year. So you do not want to repeat history like that next year. You don't want to have another throwaway season where you can't get anything out of the quarterback play. I don't even care if they're bad. Just make sure you can evaluate Justin Fields correctly, and you can figure the rest out from there. I trust this coaching staff. I trust their defensive drafting enough for them to be able to figure that out over the course of the next 2 years. But I don't trust rookie offensive linemen to protect Justin Fields well even.
Yeah.
So in that, just to build on it, is there, for both of you guys, I'm going to ask this question. Is there a path in free agency currently that you would address right now? 3 picks, go, 3 positions. And like, who are those guys that are still available? Because the way you guys both make it sound, they're going to need to spend a little bit more money to get there. I agree with that.
Have to.
But what does that mean for 9? What does that mean for the draft? Where do you guys put the mess of picks and the resources in terms of dollars and signing players that are still available on the free agent market.
So I think starting with the draft, I think that, and me and Q have talked about this a lot on air and off air, regardless of court of public opinion, I think if Jalen Carter is there at 9, you have to take Jalen Carter at 9 in the draft.
I don't know about
even after today. That's
What
tough.
happened today?
Today. I'm
Came
What
in
happened today?
9.
I was
Came in
out of
9
the loop
pounds.
today.
Came in 9 pounds overweight. Wasn't able to complete the workout.
Shit.
Was
I think
didn't take
he
questions.
chose not to complete the
All right.
workout. Like
Rewind. Tyree Wilson, baby. Tyree Wilson.
If he's there. Shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I'll take it back. But we got a hot mic. We're live. But yeah, I mean, my point being, I think that 9 pick has to go D-line. I think it's D-line all the way.
I think it's best player. That could be, Christian Gonzalez. That can be Devin Witherspoon. That can be Tyree Wilson. Heck, maybe it even could be Jalen Carter. I think that's all going to come down to the interviews with teams and like psychological thought process and evaluation, and like, because it's a lot that he has endured since the championship.
Yeah.
Put upon himself, but not to sound like sympathetic, but a little bit sympathetic. He's like a 21-year-old kid who made a bad decision, but that's got to be hell on him. But it could be anyone like that. It could be Lucas Van Ness. It could be Paris Johnson Jr. There's a lot of options there at 9. I mean, personally, I'd be strongly considering moving back a few spots if it's available and picking up another top 50 pick because of the needs you have. But as far as so the way that I would attack it is I'd go get a guy like Jermaine Illuminor or Cam Fleming to fill the right tackle spot. Those guys are professional football players. They're not going to go make a Pro Bowl for you, most likely. They're not going to outplay their contract, most likely. You're probably going to have to overpay them a little for like a 1 or 2 year deal. But it gives you the ability to go into the draft without desperately drafting for need, which is how you overreach on guys, how you make major mistakes is by sitting there desperate for a position. Then outside of that, if they make that one move, I start to get a lot more comfortable. But I might try to go get a guy like Isaac Simalo out of Philly to play left guard. He was right guard mainly in Philly, but he did play left guard there at points, so that he's capable of it. And if you're done with Tevin Jenkins, just like move on already. It makes me sad to think about because Tevin was one of my favorite prospects in that class, but it seems like they might not really be that into him. So that sucks to say, but
he's not
those 2 moves.
He's not really that into you with Tevin Jenkins' story. It's gonna it's gonna be like his feature film out of his time with the Bears.
And then you do those 2, you add those 2. And you're probably not going to be good next year, but at least I have more faith that the offensive line has enough depth to run some true pass sets with Justin Fields. So not everything needs to be a play action bootleg just to keep him alive. I wouldn't mind Alexander Madison being brought in on a cheap deal just because I think he's high upside, only like 24, taking a shot there. But and if you want, and then you can start looking at defense before even looking at Madison because you've done something with the offensive line. It's pretty dried up at this point. Like Ashawn Robinson might be nice just because he's not dynamic, but you know what he's going to do, and he's going to do it pretty darn well when he's healthy at least, which is question mark with him. He's going to stuff the run. He's massive. He looks like he's about 45 years old since he was 18. Dean Lowry's a guy who I would consider maybe. And he's mainly played like a 4-tech, 5-tech, and a 3-4 front, but I think he might be able to give you some reps as an interior D lineman in the 4-3. And he's a Chicago guy, which is always a little nice. Greg Gaines might make some sense, but Matt Ioannidis has always been a quality football player. But again, just get some professionals in the building. At edge rusher, it gets a lot harder because you missed out on the quality guys, and they go fast. Like Arden Key would have been nice. Ogbanya Okoronkwo would have been great. I mean, he was a 3-year, $22 million deal. It's not like it was outrageous. He's young and ascending. He's exactly the type of player that you're showing that the Bears are going after. I don't understand why they couldn't snag him. And he went to the Browns. It's not like he went to a great organization. Maybe the guarantees were huge or something. I don't know. But I mean, Arden Key went to the Titans. Samson Ebukam went to the Colts on a 3-year, $27 million deal. So that one gets a little more. It's a little more overpriced than I think. But Okoronkwo, I think, is great value at $7 million a year. But you've already missed on those guys, and now it's like, just looking at these names, Yannick Ngakoue is probably the most clear name that you can see on here. Which, you know, if you want to say, we just don't care about run defense, Yannick's your guy. But run defense does matter. You can go get Leonard Floyd. I wonder who about that.
I wonder who that guy is. Leonard Floyd sounds familiar.
The moment Frank Clark starts to sound like a good choice, you know you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm really sitting at. I mean, a nickel corner might be nice. I'm not even sure who's out there. I mean, Rocky Sin would actually be an easy move for them to make. Matt Eberflus was the head coach or the defensive coordinator when he was drafted in Indy. He's an outside corner, so then you're telling Kyler Gordon he's kicking inside to nickel, but he's a solid player. I've always liked him, but I think cornerback might make some sense. Just cutting these needs down before the draft is huge to me. If you can go into the draft and say you're sitting there at 53, Matt Bergeron's on the board, and you know Matt Bergeron can play left tackle, he can play left guard, he can play right guard, he can play right tackle. You can just plug him in where you need him, and that becomes a really simple pick. Whereas if you have a right tackle, you start questioning then, is he the best right tackle available? Not the best player available, but the best right tackle, the best guy who's capable of playing right tackle, because we like Braxton Jones at left tackle. And we didn't move on some of these free agents because we like Braxton Jones that much at left tackle. But you know what? If they take Paris Johnson Jr. at number 9, I wouldn't be the one sitting there saying we're asking Paris to move to the right side.
No, I don't think you could do that, right? That's something that if you're taking a tackle that high, he's your left side. That's exactly. But yeah, Brandon, I want to hear a little bit, you know, your thoughts on the free agent market that's still there, and if there is a name out there that's something that you would go after.
So again, I'll go back to the wiffle ball because I think you kind of have to. Me and Q talked about it a lot last week, and that's a guy in Orlando Brown. You instantly get rid of the need for a left tackle, and you're not going to move him over to the right side. Obviously, we also talked about that last week, but you still have the money to put together an ample enough package to try and get him on your team. And it's the left-hand side. It's the most important side for your quarterback to have solidified. We have no one there. That's a fucking joke. But other than that, I think in free agency, I think the tight end 2 position is a position that we'll probably see attacked in free agency as we've done in the past. But I also could see them draft there as well. And then
deep tight end draft as well.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some Sam Laporta love here in the past few shows for our boy Joey out of Iowa. I did want to say also too on the draft topic, I did see some Lucas Van Ness film the other day. That guy's just a dude, just a dude. Fits the mold of just a badass defensive end that I essentially 3 weeks ago on the show said is the most athletic form of athlete that you can get is that size DN, 6'5", 6'6", just cock diesel motherfuckers. But
he'll play some 3-tech for you too.
Yeah. So I think that one that I'm going to shoot for the stars when I say this, that we bring up cornerbacks, but say Orlando Brown doesn't work out. Say we don't sign another big marquee guy. There's a guy that goes by the name of Big Play Slay that just hit the open market today. And for some reason, I don't know why, but Philly, they get to the Super Bowl last year. They're 3 points and a ticky-tack call away from potentially winning it all. and they just told everyone to piss off. They're not re-signing anyone. I think they re-signed Bradbury and Kelsey. So
they are in about as much of a salary cap pickle as you
The
could
Rams?
possibly be in.
oh, okay.
I mean, they are. I don't know if the Rams ever hit the same point before they started selling off pieces. Like Philly,
You know what I'm
stretched it
saying?
about as far as possible.
Every time I look up, someone from that Eagles Super Bowl run last year has hit the open market. But I don't know. I will say that with Ryan Poles, I think the quietness right now is telling. Like, I think he still has one more big guy up his sleeves. I know he's a big dude. He's got giant sleeves. But he's got one more marquee signing up his sleeves. I just don't know where at. I would hope that it could solidify the tackle position. I would hope that it's someone that can come in and make this football team better day one. But kind of to Quentin's point, and also to your point, Juice, all we've known is pain our whole lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all got very excited and are very happy with the players that we have signed so far because they're quality players. Rome wasn't built in a day. You need 53 people on an NFL roster, and you need at least 22 competent bodies, all with different skill sets that play different positions, maybe 24, 25 if you include specialists, to be a winning football team. And right now we have 12, every single one of them that for the last 3 or 4 years. I think one thing that kind of really hit me when we let Monty walk was like, we don't make the playoffs a lot, right? So, like, when you look at a squad where you have guys like, and this is going back to last year, you look at Robert Quinn, you look at Montgomery, you look at all these type of guys that you saw, maybe not so much Robert Quinn because he's a free agent, but the rookie guys that we draft and we bring to a playoff and do special things with, right? And you see them go away. Ryan Poles has completely separated us from all of those players. This is his team now. It's completely washed. The only thing that's left over is Justin Fields and, like, Jalen Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Like Eddie Jackson, like a few guys. Most of the players that Bears fans have come to grow in love with as football players, pause. I had to put the pause in there real quick. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they're all gone. So right now is the time to start that new regime. Right now, for Ryan Poles, he has to make those splash signings. And the way I looked at it, like when I first saw all the signings we were making, I was like, wow, we're about to build a 53-man roster full of $5 and $10 million deals. Like, he's not going to sign one marquee guy, but we'll see what ends up happening.
Hey, he brought back Pat Scales.
This is a huge move.
That's the prerequisite for a long snapper.
Who's the long snapper that got the largest contract this year too? I was seeing that all over Twitter.
I didn't see that.
There was some like $3 million a year or something that guy was getting. It's like, okay.
That's why I always say I want to train when I have a son. I don't have a son yet. I just want to train to be a long snapper. You don't get hit. You actually literally can't get hit. It's a penalty to hit you. And if someone jumps over you, that's 15 yards, and all you got to do is go. Now it's a very hard snap, but
you got to think long snapper is probably one of the hardest jobs in the world to break into. There's only 32 of them.
Yeah. So backstory,
and they leave their job often.
Backstory about my connection with long snappers: the Green Bay Packers long snapper that got blown up in the pump block last year is my girlfriend's cousin. He's coaching for Iowa State. Yeah. So I was cheering yes as a Bears fan and oh God, no, right immediately after I figured out that he let the free runner through. So that's this was our long snapper conversation for Bears on Tap today because we absolutely needed one of those.
Your official long snapping podcast.
Oh, I mean, Patrick Manley, one of my favorite Bears of all time. Hilarious. But to build on that, your long snapper conversation, left-handed pitcher or a golfer, best two jobs in sports.
Left-handed pitchers, fuck, dude.
Left-handed middle relief.
Yep.
And you have to have a cool walkout
Come in
Sunday.
for one batter, and then you're good.
Well,
cool.
see, now they have to pitch a full inning now, though, because they have
That's right.
Those new rules, yeah.
All the rules. All right, 1 inning then.
But I mean, think about it. You got to lace them up for maybe 50 innings a year. I mean, not too bad. Not too bad at all.
And also, too, I was telling my brother, because me and my brother are psychos, and we were up at 5 a.m. watching my motherland, Cuba, right their way into the semifinals of the World Baseball Classic. Shout out Cuba. But being a pitcher is actually the coolest job in the world. Just doesn't matter what. Like, you could be a reliever, you could be a closer, you could be a starter. I know this from my time with the Cougars because I worked next to the dugout. These dudes fucking chill all day long.
Oh, yeah.
And when they go out there, they're all business. Don't talk to them. Don't look at them. Don't say nothing. Just let them go out there and do their thing. They'll come back. They'll celebrate, and then they'll talk to you after the game. But being a pitcher, yeah, that's something that if my kid's not going to be a long snapper, I'm going to have him learn how to throw a football. Throw a baseball, my bad.
We had Cubs pitcher Justin Steele on the podcast.
Future Cy Young winner.
It was fun to listen to him talk about his off days. So he pitches. After he leaves, it's beers and whiskey in the dugout, and he lives right around the corner from Murphy's. So it's a short walk over there, hangs out there after everybody's cleared out, and then he doesn't have to worry about pitching again for another 4 more days.
See,
the greatest job of all time.
That's my fucking ace. I want him and Stroh 1-2 in the rotation. But that's another conversation for another day.
And that's another podcast that I'm
on. yeah. But I think right now, and I know I am number one in the fan club of being like the lead panicker is like, all right, we gotta take a step back. There's still time. There is still free agents out there. But I think the thing that like Q, I know in our messages that you could sense in my voice when I'm like, okay, well, this guy's gone, that guy's gone. It's like, okay, well, eventually we have to sign someone, right? And we're just not signing anyone. So we'll see what happens.
The thing that's so confusing to me right now is the Bears need to spend like $140 million in cash this offseason. Otherwise, they just have to write a check for the difference to the Players Association because they have not met the 3-year floor of spending that every NFL team needs to meet. And they're sitting at about, I think it's 66, maybe 70 million that they've spent in cash. That's not cap space. This is cash paid this year, which is, signing bonus, player salaries, that type of stuff. And you add in rookie salary pool, you're talking maybe another 13 million. That takes you to like 83 million or so. You're still 50 million short right now. And maybe they extend Mooney. That's like 15 mil, let's say 15 to 20 mil.
Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, maybe Jalen. I think they want I actually wasn't including him yet just because I think I get the vibe that they were considering it this offseason, but they kind of pulled back and said, let's see you stay healthy for a year. And then Komet's the other guy who I think they're considering. It's just probably 10 to 15 mil. So you're still about $35 million short on that. Where's that going to come from? Well, there's no one available that you're paying that to.
You remember, too, how hard it was when we did your model with every single dollar spent, how long it took us to spend all those dollars. And how many players we had to sign. And then eventually we had a roster of 85. We had to just start buzzsawing people, you know what I'm saying? So it's we talked about it leading up to this. And we probably hyped it up a little bit more than it should be. I'll take responsibility for it. But, we were expecting a Madden type offseason, right? Fake money. It doesn't matter because we have all the money in the bank. And, to nobody's surprise, the Bears aren't acting like that, which I don't understand. But you have to think that somewhere deep down they have a plan and they must very strongly know who they're going to get with the 9 pick, or they have another trick up their sleeve via free agency. Because this is a team that's not ready to go into week 1. That's for damn sure.
Well, and I am here for saying this this contract might cripple us, we're not doing it. You know, Mike McGlinchey, that contract is not pretty. Like, that is not a contract I want the Bears to be in. The thing that gets me is when you realize that market that you're going for a player isn't there anymore where you want it to be. The lack of pivoting to a new thing, the lack of saying, okay, right tackle market's screwed. We're not going to be able to get that done. Let's pivot to Ogbo Okoronkwo. Let's take this cash that we were prepared to spend and find someplace else with better value. And that's just where I just have this thought deep in the pit of my stomach of like, they're not doing that. Edmonds was clear. I think clearly they were going after Edmonds. He was their guy. That lack of plan B, that lack of ability to pivot on your plan, just, I don't love it.
Juice?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm stuck in I'll wait till the end of the week until I start really worrying about it, I guess. I don't know. Like, there's like I said, there's still people out there that could fit and plug holes. We've talked about them over the course of, this 40 minutes, but I don't know, man. I'm, as a fan, as I sit here, a guy who's about to, write his check to the Bears, unfortunately. Yeah, I think that there are some missteps already, but the one thing I can say is, at least, and I know we said it earlier, that Ryan Poles came out and said we're going to build through the draft. I'm not going to compare these two, but I'm going to compare them. But it's very similar to what happened with the Cubs pre-2016. Like, they had to tear a lot down and build a lot back up. And I don't know if I just have that patience, because I've been a Cub fan for so long, and my sports, to me, it's like, all right, if it's worth waiting for, it's worth waiting for, because I've never seen the Bears have a set roster for longer than one season to where they can compete for a Super Bowl. If this is his plan to slowly build it, I'm okay with it. But like you said, there are some things that, you got to fill some positions, because you got to get to the floor anyway. So it's almost like, what are we doing here? So
yeah, and I think the thing.
All I need is Edwin Jackson. That's all I'm asking for.
That's.
You're going to hell for that. The Cubs,
and I'm okay with that.
Cubs are going to the playoffs this year. Cubs in 4.
I'm okay with that. And those are guys that, there's a guy out there that I'm sure we're going to look at and go, what the hell after this? Like, but they have, like you said, they have to get to a floor. And when you have to do that, you have to bring guys in that are actual NFL players. You're going to give out some contracts that are bad like that, right?
Exactly.
Just make them short. Make them easily to get out of it. Make them shorter. Add clauses in it to where, it's not bogging you down. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you're stupid if you don't at least get to the cap floor and you write a check at the end of it to the NFL, because that's just stupidity. But I don't think that Poles is that dumb either. I think eventually we'll start to see some guys fly through. But like you said, there's been some names that have passed, and it is alarming. It absolutely is a little bit alarming.
And to be fair, you're 100% right. There still is time. There still is, like, I don't want to sound super doomsdayer about it. I don't love where they're at. That doesn't mean in a week that they won't, to pull the Dumb and Dumber quote out, completely redeem themselves. But like, it's not a great, the position doesn't look great right now. That doesn't mean that it's going to be terrible at the end of the day. But right now, this is therapy for me. I've just been like stewing on this for the last 2 days.
That's good. That's what this show's about, guys. That's why we get on the mic and do this shit. We're all from different followings with the Bears, and it's great to just get on here and talk a little bit. But we get to exercise some demons, I think, a little bit right now, because there is a bad man who is probably moving on to New York Jets. You guys want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
His receiver signed there already too. Lazard already signed.
What's your favorite Aaron Rodgers moment? That's what I want to know. Now, when he left today.
So I was just going to say, I wish that he had gotten offered the Jeopardy job so he could have done all this on Jeopardy instead of the Pat McAfee show.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would have been great.
I'll take where will Aaron Rodgers be playing in 2023 for 500? No, but I just think it's funny. Like, I don't know if you guys had a chance to listen to McAfee or any of his quotes over, but the funniest thing to me was he emerges from that whatever weird no sunlight thing that he needed to do.
Darkness retreat.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that thing is. And decides he's
hanging
like,
out
yeah.
at Motel 6 for a week with lights off.
that's probably the equivalent to where he was at. To be honest, like I'm sure he's lying about all this. And he was just like in some, like you said, some Motel 6, and
Just
they're
in
knocking
some
on the door. They're knocking on the door.
Just hanging out at Motel 6 in Reno. Like,
You need more towels.
Enjoy a guy that enjoys the finer things in life. That's for damn sure.
But I don't know, man. Like, for when he said earlier today in the show that he was 90% sure he was going to retire and 10% that he wanted to play the next year, I was like, what are the Jets getting? That's just, it makes me start to think, like, he wasn't very good last year, and now he's going over to this side of New York, and it's not his guys. So I don't know. He's just a huge fucking bag. I'm just so glad he's fucking gone.
it just sounds so much like Brett Favre.
It's the same.
does,
It's the same
doesn't it?
thing. Yeah, it's the same thing minus the dick pics and the $5 million from the welfare. It's literally the exact same thing.
Don't sell him
those
short on
things
the
can
dick
still
pics.
happen.
Yes, Aaron Rodgers can still steal $5 million from welfare and send dick pics to an ESPN reporter. There is still time.
Man, my favorite
Fucking
Aaron
Green Bay
Rodgers moment.
quarterbacks.
It's probably 2018 when the Bears clinched the division and he threw that pick to Eddie Jackson.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite.
That's really all we got.
I mean, if you don't want to go the time the guy got hurt route, that's about
Yeah,
it.
it's really all we got.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
or I
I'm
could
going.
go with sorry, go ahead, Bdon.
I'm going darkness retreat too. But go ahead.
I would say, or we can go his first year as a starter when the Bears beat him twice. I remember turning to my dad, youthful, exuberant high school me, like, this guy's never going to be as good as Favre. This is great.
Yeah. So this
He
is
ended up being a little
your
better.
fault. His whole career is your fault, Q. You would have
Probably.
just never opened your mouth.
Yeah, someone sent him a clip of that and then just put the chip on his shoulder,
So I have seen a clip of Aaron Rodgers that is like from probably right after college, and one of his college professors was like, "Yeah, bro, you're not going to be anything." And then it just like cuts to future superheroes, and it's just like him doing the discount double check, and I'm like, God, I fucking hate this guy. But yeah, for me, it's the darkness retreat, it's the peyote or the ayahuasca. He's a drug guy. He's not a quarterback. He'll never be Joe Namath. Like, that was a cool drug guy. We don't condone drug use, but the ladies love Joe Namath. The ladies will not love Aaron Rodgers when he goes to New York City. And another set of people that will not love him when he goes there is the media. And for whatever reason or not, Aaron Rodgers has included himself in that powwow with the media because he decides to join a podcast that's listened to by probably millions of people week in and week out. And he gets mad at people when they take his quotes and twist them, yet he goes on the show week in and week out and gives us quotes to twist. Make that shit make sense. Take that. Go in your little hole for 4 more days. You'll wake up and come on a New York Jet, my boy.
Well,
He's
and
just
the media,
such a narcissist. Sorry.
Yeah.
the media aspect of all this is actually really interesting to me. I was talking to someone the other day about it, where, like, is there a more team-friendly media corps than Green Bay?
No.
Is there any place else in the country where the local economy depends on the football team and the football team alone, and the reporters there probably own homes in that city and have interests all over that city? And I mean, not that they're like consciously saying, "Oh, we gotta, we gotta support Aaron because of the value of our home is gonna tank if we don't." But like, the subconscious of it is like they have to be fans at that level.
They're a cult.
Yeah.
They're a cult.
And that's something you don't see in a market like New York. Those journalists don't care a bit if the Jets win. They're there to be journalists, and it's going to be a harsher media landscape that he has to navigate than he's ever navigated. Now, maybe he can do it just fine, no issues. But I think that the pressure that comes with that of the change media core, or not change media core, but the change aspect with the media and the relationship there, it has impacts.
Yeah, and I think also too, one point to bring up is he could roll over Matt LaFleur. He ain't rolling over Robert Saleh. You ever seen Robert Saleh? He ain't rolling over Robert Saleh. That's a big dude.
I'm sure him and Nathaniel Hackett are going to have great times together. That's all I'm going to say. Those the biggest fucking dorks I've ever seen.
Nathaniel Hackett, the worst coach in NFL history.
So my favorite Aaron Rodgers moment, I got to hold the fourth phase flag against the Green Bay Packers in 2000. I think it was 2011. I held it on the corner of where the away team runs out. I flipped off Aaron Rodgers on Soldier Field. So that's my greatest moment with Aaron Rodgers. And he saw it. I know he saw it. That was years before the I Still Own You. But, yeah, that's probably my favorite Aaron Rodgers moment. I showed him
that game.
Oh, probably not.
I think. No, probably not. I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember holding the flag.
So you put another chip on his shoulder.
Probably. Yeah. I mean,
we've all put a chip on Aaron's shoulder at some point in our lives.
There's two people in sports I hate the most, and it's him and it's LeBron James.
I knew it was coming next, yeah.
I can't stand people who out of both sides of their mouth, and that's what they do. That's what both of those guys are so similar. Like if we put them in a car and just drove them off a cliff, it'd be a great day for America. That's all I'm saying.
My goodness.
I absolutely can't stand either of those. And I'll take all the hit for that comment right there.
LeBron James, avid book reader.
Yeah. How's that book, LeBron? It's great.
Exactly. All right. Well, so where do we think this team, like next move? Ryan Poles wakes up. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon tomorrow. He decides he wants to sign someone. Who is it? Or at least what position do we think?
It's got to be O-line. Right tackle. It's got to be right tackle, I think. Especially
too with you look at like the way the draft board's kind of making out, right? You're probably going to want to take a defensive guy at that spot. You're probably hoping to fill the offense via free agency that way, and then later in the draft you can address the running back position, or grab another playmaker, another gadget guy. But definitely if they assign an offensive line at right tackle, like you said earlier, Q, I think that you definitely feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I think they are perfectly comfortable if they draft an offensive tackle or an offensive lineman who has versatility at number 53 and say he wins the job. You're perfectly comfortable with that. You're not comfortable relying on him at the spot, if that makes sense. You want him to win that job. It's not even just the fact that he had that, there's the competition aspect. There's the fact that he had to beat out a professional football player to get that spot. It's a proving ground.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, I think O-line, D-line is the most important thing from here on out. I think that if there is any splash in the signings, it'll be on either of those two position groups. As much as I'd love to see a guy like Darius Slay. I know we talked a little bit in weeks past about even being open to a Jalen Ramsey trade. Jalen Ramsey was also traded since the last time we talked. He got traded down to the Dolphins for a bag of Sun Chips, which is, the return that the Rams got on that. Harvest Cheddar. I'm a Harvest Cheddar guy.
Oh, man. They didn't even get the garden salsa.
Dude, garden salsa all the way. That's the best flavor.
Yeah.
The best flavor, man.
Well, they got back an original bag of Sun Chips and a third-round pick. So,
cardboard.
My dad, who's a Rams fan, is like, he was like in rejoice because he hates Jalen Ramsey because he's just like, I don't really think he's that good. He's like, every time I look up, he's getting toasted. And then he's also like, well, how is this all we got back for Jalen Ramsey? Isn't he supposed to be this great corner? And I was like, Dad, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, he either sucks and we don't get anything back for him, or he's the best corner ever and we get the number 1 pick. It can't work both ways, you know?
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we're still right in the thick of things. Today is the first actual day that the free agent contracts could be signed. I know we talked about it. You have the legal tampering period starting on Monday, and that's why we're here live a little bit early on Wednesday, just to get you guys up to date with all the free agent signings. So in total, the Bears have acquired, we'll say since the new league year started, the Bears have acquired DJ Moore, Tremaine Edmonds. They've also signed at linebacker TJ Edwards. On the offensive line, local kid. He's from Chicago. Bears fan, grew up a Bears fan. They signed Nate Davis on the offensive line from the Tennessee Titans. And then they also signed DeMarcus Walker, former Florida State product, defensive end, who has 7 sacks.
He plays quite a bit interior, too. He'll play some 3 tech. He's about 280 pounds.
Okay, perfect. Before we close up, do you guys have like a favorite signing or move player that we've acquired yet in this offseason?
I mean, for me, it's Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, as much as I can sit here and rag about how signing a linebacker probably shouldn't be the priority, putting a 6'5" monster who runs a 4.5 in the middle of a defense is going to help your safeties a lot.
Juice, how about you?
I think I'll go DJ Moore. You know, that's it. If you look what's going on in terms of the free agent market and what's available via trade, there's not much out there. Doesn't seem like there's going to be much movement at that position. So to get a guy like him with your number 1 overall pick to add, you know, with the two 1s and the 2 2s, I think that's grand slam.
Yeah, I
DJ
think
Moore's definitely. I didn't realize the trade was on the table. DJ Moore probably beats Edmonds, but.
Yeah, no, I was saying just overall transactions, but yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna go Edmonds. I just think that as important as it is for the offense to get better, I think that the defense was so bad that you have to add top end players. You can't just build the defense back up to what you want it through the draft. Quinn talked about it earlier. You have to get professionals in the room. You have to get guys that have been there at the professional level. And in a signing in Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards. Edwards and Edmonds are going to give Bears fans and announcers and all sorts of people hell for the next years because it's going to be like Edwards and Edmonds and Edwards and Edmonds. Both of them are dogs, but I'd have to go with Tremaine Edmonds as my favorite signing so far this offseason. Do you guys have any final wrap-up thoughts, though, so far through the first few days of free agency?
If somebody can put – oh, go ahead, Q.
I was just saying the Bears are going to win the NFL 7-on-7 competition.
I said we were going to have the sickest flag football team ever known to man.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'll go with if anybody can rent a car for LeBron James and Aaron Rodgers, just drive them off the cliff for me, please.
All right. Well, I think that's the perfect closing note. I do have – I don't know if you would call it sad news, happy news, whatever kind of news you want to call it. It's some big news. To the listeners of the show, the people that have been with us over the last 4 years, the people that listened to a guy that never went on a microphone before a day in his life and now done over 230 episodes, 4 long seasons, 4 long losing seasons, and I still got to get that tally on the win-loss, Quentin, to see how many times we've done a losing post-game in the course of this show. But my guys over at On Tap approached me about stepping away from Bears On Tap to take up a newer responsibility with the company for the On Tap Bets program and programming. And as you guys all know, degenerate gambler through and through. I got Fairleigh Dick money line playing in the background right now, plus 120. Like I always got a little bit of action. I always got something to sweat.
That's the play tonight, boy.
Yeah, buddy, a little system play. I have to ask you what you're – and you know what? It's beautiful because, you know, you got Quentin with the system plays. You got me with the meatball. I've been in the trenches since like 5 a.m. betting on Cuba money line and the fucking Qingdao Eagles overseas because I got a buddy who plays on the team. So if you want real degenerate bets, if you want winners on some ESPN Plus games, if you want winners on Champions League soccer, you want NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA, whatever. Maybe not NBA. I'm not that good at NBA, I'll be honest. But whatever you need, slide on over to On Tap Bets. I'm sure that throughout the season and when we get back more into games, I'll probably make appearances on the show to talk about some of the betting markets and stuff like that. But as you guys know, I already do Huskies on Tap and Irish on Tap. I can't. There's only one Ron Tap Sports now. We can't have two. So I can't do 4 podcasts as much as I would love to. But it's a good opportunity for the company to enter a space that we've needed a guy to kind of lead up, and it's the most popular space in all of sports right now. Every time you flip on a game, there's a DraftKings, a FanDuel, a BetMGM, and a BetRivers commercial. And we as a company just felt it was the time to allocate one man, one myth, one legend. I won't be doing it alone. As you guys know, Joey Ricotta will be over there, someone who also sits in on Bears and Cubs on Tap. But I just want to say, like, to all the people, and I always say this at the end of every show, you know, whether you listen for one show, whether you listen for 237, you know, we appreciate all the love and support that we get on this show, the Facebook chat, the YouTube chat, Twitter chat, all of that. I wouldn't become who I am as a podcaster today without this show. And I mean, I'm not gonna give you all the windshield wipers, but I know I've talked to Q off air. It's been something that, like, over the last week, I'm just like, it sucks, but it's something that we need to do for the company, and I'll step up and make the right move. And hopefully when it's all said and done, when the Bears have a winning season next year, we can say I was the curse for the Bears losing. Me hopping on the microphone to talk about my feelings and the Chicago Bears after we lose every week was the reason we lost. But with that being said, boys, do you have any final wrap-up thoughts for this evening's show?
We're gonna miss you,
yeah, right. I'm just really excited for you because as somebody who's been in the conversations with Arena Group, with the senior leadership team here at On Tap, like, that's something we've needed for a very long time and something that you're very good at and passionate at. And we're gonna miss it here, but that doesn't mean that, you know, you're not going to be on these shows. It's going to be really fun to, you know, have you come back in and talk about the betting stuff, talk about the Bears. You know, give your opinions on the team, and definitely I think it's going to be a fun time, man. I'm really excited to see what you guys do over there because that's a fun 2 personalities over there. You and Joey, that's going to be just a degenerate show, absolutely. 1,000%.
Dude, if mine and Joey's Twitter DMs locked, you guys would have called the 1-800-GAMBLER hotline a long time ago. Responsibly, but
so whenever you come out the show, you're just going to have like 3 weeks of pent-up Bears anxiety to let out. So it'll be fun episodes.
Well, and that's what I was about to say to Juice. It's like, if you guys haven't had anyone yell on the show for a few weeks, you know where to find me. I'll come in and give the boys a good pep talk. So,
and that's the fun thing about what this show is becoming too. This show, now that we have our partners in Bears Nation as well, we're going to play around with the format a little bit here, and you're going to start to see some rotating guys come in who follow the team, who, you know, participate in our writing, who want to give opinions. I think the coolest part is that this thing is going to become a rotation of personalities who start coming in here that can give, you know, off the wall argumentative opinions and things like that. And you're still going to get the great, you know, weekly coverage, the breakdowns and things like that we all offer with this show. But yeah, I'm excited to get here with Q and definitely, you know, build something here in the future. I know Ron's not here. He's dealing with some stuff right now with some family, and let's keep him in our thoughts and prayers and things like that. But yeah, no, I think this is awesome. It's going to be a fun brotherhood. It's going to be something where we all find each other at the game, and I have tickets. So Q, you come on up, and we'll definitely go watch a game once or twice, and we'll get Brandon out here to get some bets prior to it, and we'll tap one on in the South lot and go watch the Bears dominate. I'll tell you that right now.
We might have enough plus size dudes to put enough letters on our chest for Fields or Justin. Just saying, but that's a conversation for another day. I do look forward to what's on the horizon for you guys. I'll obviously always pop in when I can to give my insight. But yeah, starting tomorrow full time, I've kind of been putting a couple picks out here and there. I really went after it today because, like I said, I've been up since 5 a.m. sweating the World Baseball Classic in my country. But be on the lookout. There will be video content. Probably, I'm assuming a podcast. It's not going to be as long form because, like, tell me a degenerate gambler that's going to sit there and listen to a 60-minute podcast for a pick. I don't know a single one. But there will be daily content. There will be daily picks, and there will be daily winners. But you guys know where to follow me at Bdon300. You can follow Quinn at Butkus Stats, Juice at Juice on Tap, and then don't forget to throw the main account a follow at Bears on Tap. For one final time this off season, because the next time you guys hear my voice, we'll be previewing some games and previewing what's going on in this season. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great time. Love you all, and bear down.
Bear down.
Bear down.